Rob?
Hello everyone, welcome to Rob's Rogues and the BatmanUniverse.net. And today we're taking a look at Batman Arkham Origins 3-pack featuring the Joker as Red Hood, Copperhead, and Deathstroke Unmasked. I paid for this set $24.99. So 25 bucks. I think this one originally came out, it was 35. So depending on the seller on eBay or Amazon, I've seen this go anywhere from $45 up to $60. Again, depending on who's selling it or what the quantity is. I think right now on Amazon this might be 45. You could probably correct me if I'm wrong, or maybe 35 or whatever, but still 10 bucks cheaper, not too bad. So enough of a long explanation. I kind of wanted to let you know that in case you were like, oh, I never would have thought to go to TJ Maxx to look for action figures. And they do have other action figures too from other various companies, but I was only obviously interested in DC Collectibles. So give it a check. You can also buy Barbie dolls for your girls if you have girls too. So anyway, the rest of the package here, we got the 75th anniversary treatment up in the corner, which you probably can't see. There's that. Very much the same box that we saw with the Harley Quinn, Electrocutioner, and Lady Shiva. Here, this is based on the hit video game Batman Arkham Origins, featuring an expansive Gotham City. Batman Arkham Origins introduces an original prequel storyline set several years before Batman Arkham Asylum and Batman Arkham City, taking place before the rise of Gotham City's most dangerous criminals. Players will meet many important characters for the first time and form key relationships. So just the general write-up. The other figures in the wave are, at the time this was released, were Batman, the Joker, Black Mask, Bane, Deadshot, Deathstroke, Killer Croc, Anarchy, and Firefly. And I have all of them but Deadshot and Killer Croc and the standard Deathstroke. So I'm counting I have a Deathstroke now. So very cool. I apologize for the long intro to these figures. I just kind of wanted basically to let people know where I got them. So if you were looking at getting this set, and you didn't want to pay an arm and a leg for it, if you've got a TJ Maxx around, run right out, because I am hearing from most places that my TJ Maxx only had one, so you may have an opportunity to get it if you haven't been to a TJ Maxx. So enough rambling. We'll get these out of the package and we'll take a look at their counterparts. Basically all except Copperhead. So anyway, we'll be right back in just a moment. All right, I've got the Batman Arkham Origins 3-pack of Copperhead, the Red Hood, and the Unmasked Deathstroke. So let's go with the Red Hood first. He'll be the easiest to do, and we'll do a comparison there. We'll look at the Red Hood here. I'll bring the Joker up in just a second. They touched up his color scheme quite a bit. I've already reviewed this figure, so I'm going to try and put links down here below of the original review that you can see if you want to see the head move and the arms and legs and all that stuff, and the things that I thought about that figure initially. I'm going to have the same things that I like, don't like about the figure. I do like the color palette. They brought out the colors a little bit. Instead of putting him in the Joker colors, they put him in more of the tuxedo. It's not as purple. It's more of a flat, or not flat, it's more of a glossy black. The Red Hood is rather nice, and the cape, so it's weird in a way that he's wearing a long trench coat and has the Red Hood cape at the same time. It was a cool part in the game to actually see the creation of the Joker when Batman was fighting him. And then for a brief moment, in a comedy club, you get to control the Joker in kind of like a fight scene, and then kind of roaming around a little bit in the video game. I did really like the video game quite a bit. I liked what Warner Bros. Montreal was doing. The only part of the articulation I'm going to go through, again, if you want to see his review, go to the link down here, and I'll go more in depth in that. But the head does turn, which I thought was really interesting and cool. So if you wanted to, I would imagine this is like every other DC Collectibles. It's on a ball and peg And you could pop this off and put on the normal Joker head if you liked the color of this particular Joker body a little bit better. And I understand why they did it. They tried to make it in more his first appearance color scheme in the video game. So a straight up repaint with the exception of not having the Joker head. It's not one of those, you can pull it off and have the Joker head under here. It doesn't quite work that way. I will bring up the Joker. Now, initially I said that this was my favorite version of the Joker. I liked it better than the normal DC Collectibles Arkham City and Arkham Asylum Joker, which are basically the same figure. That has kind of since changed now that I have that particular Joker. I've not reviewed him yet. Maybe I'll bring him up once I do a full Arkham collection. I got him loose off of eBay for a pretty decent price. I'm not entirely sure if he's a bootleg or not. If he is, it's a darn good bootleg. But like I said in that initial review, this Joker is constantly looking down. He is very back heavy, and the same thing can be said with this particular figure. It's nice to have a Red Hood, a normal looking Red Hood figure as far as the Joker goes, that if I wanted to, put a little scene together of Batman and the Red Hood fighting for the first time, I could do that, be it DC Collectibles or be it DC UC or whatever line I chose to do. I'd be able to do that very well. Let's bring up Batman here. And this is from the Arkham 5-pack with Bruce Wayne, and he's had a color touch-up. So that's cool to see the two side by side, and they look, very good together, as they did in the video game. And it's kind of cool to see the Joker Red Hood in Arkham form, so that's really pretty cool. This particular Joker is now a back rower now that I have the normal Joker from the Arkham City and Asylum. I loved the way this Joker was portrayed in the video game. As far as the action figure goes, again, I've said it before in the review, it's a good sculpt, but it was not executed well, and it's amazing how your opinion changes. The head is the biggest thing for me. I wish he could look forward. I'm sure with some modding I could probably do that a little bit, but nonetheless, we'll get the least likely figure out of the way. It's cool to have, but it was not a must-have out of this set. Slade Wilson, Deathstroke. Deathstroke has really become a figure that falls over, and normally I would edit this out, but this is a big problem with this figure. Deathstroke, as I was saying, since he fell over, has become a character that I have really started to like and embrace in DC. As much as a Teen Titans and Tim Drake and Robin fan as I am, Slade Wilson, Deathstroke, has had a big part in the history of Teen Titans. And he was just a character I was like, it's okay. It's taken the TV show Arrow. It's taken comics in the New 52 to really make me go back and read some of the old classic issues of Deathstroke where he appeared in, and especially in the Teen Titans run, the Wolfman and Perez run. I was like, man, I was just really missing out on all these years of how cool Deathstroke was. So that's always kind of cool that somebody that's been reading comics for a while like myself can go back and rediscover something that I initially kind of, dismissed. I like this figure, but this is a figure in the line that is prone to a lot of issues, and I've seen people have some pretty big ones with it. The one being he typically has a lot of loose joints, even just kind of wiggling him here. I can kind of feel things in his leg and his torso. He has a really wobbly midsection. I think the design for the character is really good. I've got the Mattel version up here. If this is the only version of Deathstroke I pick up, if I'm not able to get a hold of the masked version, it'll be okay. I would like a masked version of it. It's cool to have an unmasked version. I'll have to take a look. I don't think all of the the battle damage is on the standard Deathstroke. I might be wrong, but I think you get a more traditional, not traditional, but a good paint job as opposed to one that's been in a fight with Batman or whomever. This was a very good fight in the video game. I think it's kind of rivaled or was on par with the Mr. Freeze part of Arkham City, where Deathstroke, you really had to be on your best skills to take him down. It was one of those that once you beat Deathstroke, your hands were kind of like, oh man, that was really kind of tough. I like the figure overall as far as the sculpt. I think the paint is a little too... bright's the wrong word, almost a little pastel. Once I bring up the Mattel figure, I think you'll see that the paint on the Mattel version is a little more closer to Deathstroke's colors than what it is. But he's got a lot of cool accessories. It's jumped right out of the video game. The sculpting on his face is absolutely brilliant. The patchwork on the eye, his hair, just very, very good all the way around. All of the, every little piece that you see here is molded and sculpted in. He's a really, really good looking figure. I don't mind the paint that much. I'm not saying this is a horribly painted figure. I just wouldn't have chose this color of blue. The orange is fine, but I would have gone with a darker shade of blue. Just the detailing on the pouches here, the detailing in the shoulder, I think is really solid. Again, it's right on par with the video game. Comes with 3 accessories. Comes with his staff, which for the most part in the game when you play Deathstroke in the challenge maps, he's basically kind of a reskin of Robin since using the staff. Even some of the sound effects are the same. So some people did have some issues with that. I would have rather had him using his sword. Doesn't really use his sword at all. So, I mean, that comes in and out. This staff is a lot smaller in diameter than the Mattel staff, and I'll bring that up here in just a moment. He does come with a gun. I want to say it's a 9mm. I don't know my guns very well at all. But holsters in a nice soft plastic holster. The sword, I said the same thing in the Mattel review. This is like a toothpick. This is not a sword. I mean, look how long the sheath is here. I mean, it fits, but I just don't think Deathstroke would use such a tiny, type of katana. I think he would use a really big, broad sword. So, I mean, he holds it decent enough. Thought it slipped in easier. So he holds it good, but it just looks too small for him. Like, it just needs to be about this tall and maybe a little bit wider. But he holds on to his accessories really easy. Don't have to worry about anything falling out. He does have a trigger finger for the gun, which we'll put that in his hand really quick. The gun is the hard part to get in, and now that I've said this, I'm going to have to do this off camera. Can't get the hands to open up here. I apologize about this. So we can hold on to it. Doesn't quite have the trigger finger. You can kind of maneuver it. There we go. And I apologize, I had him off frame. So he looks pretty good with the gun in there. Get turned on side. Very cool. So that's nice that he can hold on to everything and nothing is loose in his hands at all. Let's take a look at the articulation on this guy. I just see him moving some of it around. The head is on a nice ball joint, can look down fairly well, look up basically in a straight position. He's not going to look up in the air at all. Can look left to right and get a little tilt out of it. Arms are in a ball and socket. They are really stiff. This arm, there are joints on this guy that just do not want to move. I think that was another problem with the figure. So the arm, this one arm only goes up about this far due to the shoulder blade getting in the way This arm just does not move. I'm going to have to do a hot water trick with it. I just feel like it's going to snap. It has the bicep swivel, single jointed elbow twist at the wrist. Has an ab crunch that works pretty decent. The straps aren't getting in the way at all. I think it's just due to the way that he is sculpted. His range of motion is kind of cut in half a little bit. Turns at the waist, and the waist twist is really kind of loose. Okay, there you go. I thought I broke it. I was about ready to jump up and down. Gone is the peg that runs straight through, and I hope it's just a peg that pops in and out. So this is a part that people have been having issue with, and I think I got that back in there. I want to pause it really quick. Doesn't that just always scare the crap out of you when you have your action figures? It just doesn't want to seat up in. There we go. All right, now I got it set. Just didn't want to set up in the leg very well at all. So he's problematic just for that. So if a leg goes forward, I don't even want to mess with it. Has a rotation in the thigh, a very loose knee. And ladies and gentlemen, I just broke Deathstroke. Mother trucker. Very much like my Green Arrow figure. It is salvageable. Wow. And you know what? I am not surprised. I have seen multiple reviews and people having issues with Deathstroke. Both versions of Deathstroke. So, I'm not twisting anything else. Double jointed knees. It appears that there is an ankle foot rocker. I'm not even messing with it. Not even messing with it. I've been wanting this Deathstroke for a while. Wow. He needs a stand. He is going to topple over figures. I mean, it's a decent enough figure. This I don't know. I'm going to go into a rant here. I can't get him to stand. There, stand. Stand. And there he goes. Awesome. So you don't see it too much here on my channel. Every once in a while we're going to run into a turd. Yeah, he's gonna have to benefit from a stand. That's the only way, sadly, he's going to be able to stand up. I want to get the Mattel figure. I'm going to pause this really quick. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Finally got him to stand. Here is his Mattel counterpart. Now, he is on a little stand. It's the Mattel figure is a little bit smaller. I had this Deathstroke standing with my Arkham figures, and I almost kind of want to keep him standing there. Once I got this one, I thought, oh good, I'm going to move the Batman Unlimited, Batman Arkham Origins Deathstroke figure down to my DCUC shelf, since he is primarily built like a DCUC figure. So I could have, since I don't have a normal DCUC Deathstroke, I was using this figure as such. But, man, this Deathstroke's a train wreck. I knew that coming into it. Like I said, I've watched enough reviews. But, you know, I've heard multiple complaints about this set. And I have an issue with Copperhead that's coming up. So I have two figures with broken pieces. Now, the easy fix for this one, I could throw a toothpick or another plastic rod in through the Neon Deathstroke, like I did my Green Arrow figure, to be able to save and fix it. So it's not a complete break where I can't use the figure at all. He is on the stand, so I can do a little tapping, and he's not going to wobble and fall over. But you can see in the paint scheme that I was talking about, the paint scheme I think is better on here. All the joints and everything are intact. This is a solid figure, and I really liked this figure. I gotta say, just as far as the sculpting on this one, I will give to DC Collectibles. But as far as a usable action figure that I don't have to worry about anything breaking off on this guy, from Mattel, that was always one of the nice things. 90% of the time, your figures from Mattel, you may have a warped something or other, but at least it's going to stand. Aesthetically, he's going to look cool. I'm glad to have him. I want to get the other Deathstroke, but there's no way I'm paying $50 for that Deathstroke. I cannot bend this elbow. I can't bend that arm. This knee, as we know in the video, just broke. This leg came off, and I can't use the ankle hinges on it. I wanted to read the bio of Slade Wilson Deathstroke, but I don't think I'm going to because I'm kind of in a little bit of a bad mood. I think you can probably guess why. I'll let you pause it if you want to read the bio for Deathstroke. This came with the collector's edition. Impaired vision in right eye. So, yeah, that sucks. That's a big pile of truck suck at Christmas time. So let's just go on to Copperhead, and we'll speed this review along. And here is Copperhead. And now I had her on the base that I put Deathstroke on. I was able to get her feet to move. And we've said this before on the Rogue Show and just other different collectors. We shouldn't have to be afraid to break and play with an action figure. It's almost to the point, at least with this line, things have gotten better. I will say that, but you know, there are some hits and misses there. I shouldn't be afraid to pull it out of package or go, you know what, I'm just going to keep my figures in a box. They'll never break that way. I want to have them out. I want to display them. I want to pose them. I'm glad to have them, but it's just one of those, the Arkham figures I have on a top shelf, and it's a long way to the bottom of the shelf. So I'd like to get some nice like curio cabinets or, you know, clear glass cases. I want to protect these guys so I don't have people like a Deathstroke getting ready to topple over and just take out a whole bunch of people. Woosa. So let's take a look at Copperhead. This was the big draw for the series as I'm moving figures all over the place here. The detailing on her is done very well. Copperhead, up until this point, was a male. So they decided to do a gender flip and make her female and give her crazy tattoos. Initially, I was not a fan of the gender swap, but this was a cool scenario in the video game too. The Deathstroke fight and Copperhead fight were two of probably the best fights in the Arkham games. The Copperhead fight, once Batman gets a little taste of her venom or her poison from Copperhead, or Batman rather, really has a hard time fighting a thing. You see multiple versions of Copperhead. The paint scheme on all these figures are done very well, especially Copperhead. Just the detailing in the tattoos is really good. I half wonder if this is like a sticker, if this is pressed on somehow. I have Deathstroke falling in the background. Oh, you're making me mad, Deathstroke. Her eyes look really, really good. Very reptilian. Love her haircut. Now, this arm did break off. Very much like Deathstroke. You see, and look at that. It's a clear peg. Deathstroke's knee was a clear peg. So they got away from this. So I'm not getting so much mad now. They didn't use a clear peg up here, but they did down here. So this slides on rather easy. So I can still use it. And her elbows are double jointed elbows, double jointed knees. A very unique waist. This is all rubber in here. So you can get her, it's like a wire piping frame in here. So you can get some really crazy poses out of her. It has an upper torso turn. I'm doing the articulation here as I'm kind of bass backwards. She can look pretty much straight on, can look down rather well. Arms, female figures always so frail. They're supposed to go up. I cannot get them to go up. I'm afraid I'm gonna, all right, here we go. So there, they go up a little bit. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place with this figure. It has the bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, and that's how I broke this arm. I cannot get either of the double jointed elbows to function properly. I mean, this, my gosh, Look how wobbly this arm is. Like we got some scarecrow action going here. Robot. So I'm not going to mess with it. Not going to mess with it. You can see that it's double jointed elbows, but if you have it, man, be careful. I don't know if it's partly that they're just stiff and I've got to use some hot water, or I got to use a blow dryer. You know, I know the whole thing about breaking the joints so they loosen up, and I don't mean break like break like she has done and Deathstroke has done. I don't know. Again, I'm glad to have her. I'm glad I did not pay full price for her. Thank you, TJ Maxx. Yeah, I don't know. The legs go out about this far. Can do splits pretty well. Upper thigh cut. Legs go forward, about that much. Double jointed knees. The knees are good. I'm not going to mess with the feet. I've heard people breaking these off. I'm messing with them. Hinge at the foot, and there is a foot rocker. I mean, you should be able to get her in some really, really sick poses, being that she's Copperhead and snake-like, but it scares the crap out of me. And again, that should not be a phrase that I have to say with an action figure. I shouldn't be afraid to quote-unquote play with the action figure. I haven't done a kind of negative review in a while. Am I disappointed I bought this? No. The price that I paid for it, $24 for all three figures? No. Had I paid $60 for this or $50? Yeah, I would have. I definitely much would have. We have Copperhead and Batman here going at it. Put on a quick little pose together. Can get her rib cage with it just being this, it's almost like a pipe cleaning type wire. It's a little thicker than that. It's really bendy in there. I'm really kind of curious to see what they did. It's a very ingenious design. It's really cool. It almost looks like Batman's looking at her crotch. But yeah, I mean, I love that I have all three of these figures. I just don't love that I have problems with all three of these figures. All right, final thoughts on this. I think we pretty much know where my thoughts are on this. Should you pick this up? If you are paying normal retail price of the release of these figures, or if you're buying them now after almost 2 years, well, almost 3 years after the video game has been out, no. Don't buy it. If you are going to Marshall's or TJ Maxx or Ross and you can find it for $25, it's not bad. Should you take them out of the package? Man, I don't know. I don't know. And there we are. That is a huge thing right there. Now, the Joker actually caused this fall. Normally, I'd probably just leave them all laying down on the ground. They're not bad sculpted, not at all. I would love to work at DC Collectibles for a day. I would love to work there. I see the figures come off, get the prototypes, and go, no, they're not standing. Do it again. I love that we can get her in some really cool poses. This is the foot with the peg that she's going to need to be able to stand on to at least keep her balanced so I can do this crazy pose. So that's not going to bother me too much. I want to be able to do that with her rather than have her in the vanilla pose. And she's holding her arms very well. I'm glad that this was tight in here so the gauntlet didn't come flying off. I love the spikes that they did on her. I mean, just the detailing and craftsmanship on these three figures is really, really good. But to the point where they're falling down, they won't stand. The Joker cannot stand flat-footed. The Red Hood Joker. Even the original Joker could not stand flat-footed. So, yeah, am I glad I have them? Yeah, the completist in me wants to be able to have I want to have every single Arkham figure if I possibly can afford it. I know the Clayface may be out of my price range, and the Titan Joker, but still, for the main figures of the set of the series, man, this is hard. If you can find it for $25, yes. I hate when something breaks in a review or something is wrong with the figure. It just really sours your end result, because now all I'm thinking about are the things that are wrong. So I know this video is long, I apologize, but I think you can see why. Especially, we talk about it all the time, we're paying our hard-earned money, we want our figures to work the way they're supposed to work. Okay, moving on to the next review. Today we've been taking a look at the Batman Arkham Origins 3-pack of Copperhead, Red Hood Joker, and Unmasked Deathstroke. If you can find them, check them out, and if you really want Copperhead, that's really got to be the draw for you. Paying $25 for Copperhead is not bad. Maybe look at it like that. If you can find it, Marshall's, TJ Maxx, or Ross for $25. If she was a single carded figure, that's what about she would run, would be anywhere from $21 to $25. And then you can look at it as a bonus, hey, I got 2 other figures. So I'll leave it here. As always, this is Rob for Rob's Rogues and the BatmanUniverse.net signing off saying, be careful. Bye.